Perry Bacon. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
First, your reflections on our new poll and all of this talk of compromise. Is it easier said than done?
For Obama on the poll, first of all, it's good news for him that his numbers have not dropped, considering we've been covering him and suggesting this is such a huge defeat. And the fact his numbers are still the same is actually a great thing. I feel like on compromise, it's like asking people if they want ice cream or not. You know, they really like ice cream until they thought about the calories and why it's actually bad to eat ice cream every day. Similarly, I think Republicans and Democrats both want compromise in theory, but Democrats don't want more tax cuts passed for the rich, and Republicans don't. And Republicans don't want a lot of Obama policies to continue. They want to repeal health care, which is certainly not a compromising view. So I think when you get to the details of the issues, we've already seen Pelosi and Boehner giving absolutist statements on various issues. I think the compromise room will be smaller than we expect, despite what the public might want.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the debt commission, the so-called bipartisan commission that was set up by President Obama to think of ways to get us out of this massive debt that we're in. And a report they leaked out themselves yesterday that will probably, from what I understand, never really go anywhere, has all kinds of controversial recommendations in it. Can you kind of put that into context for us, what they said and why you think they released this yesterday?
What they said was we've had a lot of commissions to talk about reducing the deficit before, and what they said is kind of things we already knew. You have to raise the retirement age, you have to reduce Social Security benefits for people, you have to cut out a lot of the tax breaks people get now. These are things that Congress pretty much already knew they had to do before the commission reported it. And the commission's having trouble even among its own members getting support for these ideas, and they put it out early in part to try to build some support among the public and among stakeholders before their other commissioners start opposing it. So they have very little. If you saw yesterday, the president said today while he's abroad, it actually said, I want to consider this, I want to keep this open, keep an open mind. Speaker Pelosi said adamantly she opposes the Social Security proposal already, which I think is where things are headed.
Aren't there different proposals within this report that each side would support and each side would be against? Does that make it just a non-starter?
I think it does for now. I mean, depending on the one thing we don't know is that the president actually says, look, gets both sides of the table and says, look, everyone has to take some cuts and things they don't like, and is really able to drive this discussion and push the American people to feel differently about it. That could change, but he is not at his strongest moment right now in terms of public approval and in terms of his influence. So I think that'll be very difficult for him to do.
You watch political opinion a lot, but what about public opinion when it comes to making the tough choices? It's hard enough for politicians to want to do something they know the voters might not like. Can voters themselves get behind something that may be necessary but will be hard either on them or people they know?
I think right now the answer to that looks to be no. I mean, in talking about this commission, one of their ideas is, for instance, to raise the retirement age and reduce Social Security benefits. The commission would argue Social Security was created when people died, at a much younger age, and if people are living to be 90, they shouldn't get government benefits for 25, 30 years. Republicans and Democrats oppose this by 2/3. Like more than half of both parties oppose this idea. So it's really hard if you're a congressman to vote for an idea that not only your other party not support, but that your own party will oppose you too. It's going to be very hard to make those. The public does not seem to really be ready for those tough choices just yet.
Now, there's been a lot of mixed reporting on the White House's position on what some call the Bush tax cuts, and should that come to an end. Can you clarify what's going on and what people can expect in that avenue?
What the president wants to do is permanently extend the tax cuts for people for income that's below $250,000 a year. So he wants to protect those tax cuts, but only temporarily extend them for people over that. He doesn't want to extend them at all for people over that income, but the Republicans, so his compromises will extend them all, but all for some period of time. The Republicans don't want to have a vote about middle class tax cuts now and then upper income tax cuts later. That's not in their interest, because you'd effectively have to have a vote where you voted to cut taxes for millionaires directly. So they would like to avoid that. And hence, I think this is going to be hard to compromise on. The Republicans have taken Obama's olive branch and pretty much rejected it so far.
So where does it end up? Who has the real power on this issue, the way things are divided up now?
I would say the Republicans have a lot of power, because ultimately, the president wants to be for tax cuts too. If the Republicans say tax cuts for everyone or tax cuts for no one, the president's going to be in a hard place, because most Americans would not like their taxes raised.
Perry Bacon, thank you so much. Cleared a lot of that up for us, and we appreciate you being here.